Okay, so we should be live any minute, any second.
Okay, let me check. Let me check. It says going live in one. Oh. And there we are.
There we are. Okay, we're not live on mine. Okay, as long as we're live somewhere.
Well, I'm on the Facebook page and we are live.
Cool. Well, hello, everyone. I don't know if anybody's out there. It might just be Steve and I drinking tonight. Who knows? It's 8:03, so we thought we'd get started. Maybe everyone is just kind of recuperating from back to school, and the kids are maybe in bed and the parents are all crashing. Who knows? But welcome to another Wine and Whiskey Wednesday.
Welcome, Juliet. This is not the first time, nor will this be the last time that this is just the two of us drinking together.
Okay, but welcome to Wine and Whiskey Wednesday, brought to you by your Hot Ninjas, hiring, onboarding, team training experts. Our topic for tonight, which we were hoping was going to be a really cool interactive discussion, was going to be about employee compensation. So I don't know if people are going to join us, whether they're not, whether it's just going to be a conversation between Steve and I planning what our employee compensation is going to look like. Your thoughts, Steve?
I always agree with you. So whatever you say is probably the truth and accurate. So I will just nod my head.
Perfect. I love that. Love that response. Hey, Jacqueline.
You like that response? Hi, Jacqueline. You're muted.
Yes, you all come in muted now.
Oh, really?
I haven't been able to figure out how to change that setting.
There we go.
Perfect. How are you?
Pretty good. And I thought I was late.
Well, you're the first one. So it was ending up being, just another kind of kitchen table discussion with Steve and I, having some wine. So this is perfect. We're glad that you were able to join us. So it wasn't just Steve and I talking again.
Absolutely. Join the party.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds good.
Absolutely.
And we weren't sure if it was, it's the first week back to school, whether everyone is just kind of recovering from their kids being in school, or because I don't know if a lot of people are on holidays now, but I don't think they are. But maybe people that don't have kids take the first week of September off. So it's just us tonight.
Okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
We usually have one or two stragglers coming in later.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you at all influenced or affected by back to school kids, or do you have kids in school, young kids still?
No, I got a 21-year-old.
Okay.
Lives in my basement.
So they're always there. It doesn't matter that it's September.
That's it.
Perfect. Okay, so our topic for tonight, and I'm just refreshing to make sure that and Steve, you said you can see that we're live, right?
Yes, we're now spinning.
We're now spinning.
We're on Facebook. This is my action for spinning. This is what we're doing.
Okay, well, I don't think I have anything else running on my computer.
Okay, well, and now it's come up with the thing to play. Did you stop it?
No, it still says we're live. 3 minutes.
Yeah, when I went to Facebook,
okay,
you were on there and it had the play button on there.
Oh.
It still says we're live.
When I went to Facebook,
Okay.
Where's the echo coming from?
probably for me. I just shut Facebook down.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, well, whoever's there is there. If they can see us, perfect. If not, it'll be a conversation with the three of us. I did start the recording. Look at me, so impressive. If it doesn't show up on Facebook, we can record it and throw it on there afterwards. So you missed our toast, so cheers, Jacqueline. Welcome to another Wine and Whiskey Wednesday.
Cheers.
Cheers. Looks like we're all drinking straight vodka.
I've got wine.
I got red wine.
Oh, okay. Then it's just me drinking straight vodka. Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm allergic to vodka, so I can't drink that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So our topic for tonight is going to center around employee compensation. And we thought that this would be a good topic, it's September. Lots of business owners, including ourselves, are thinking about and starting to plan for next year and starting the planning process for 2020. And usually in firms, bookkeeping, accounting practices, the biggest cost is usually our team.
Yeah.
And so being able to do some planning around it and what the incentives need to be to get a good team, to keep a good team, to motivate your team, play a big part in your budget for the next year. So we thought it was good timing to be able to have a conversation around what is your employee compensation package look like? What should it look like? I guess there's no should, right? Because every business is different. But what are inventive ways that people are motivating their employees? What works, what doesn't work, what motivates them, what doesn't motivate them. So lots of different kinds of topics that we can talk about. The one question I have for both of you and anyone that's watching.
Bianca just said, hi, it's working.
Awesome, thank you, Bianca. So the first question is, so we usually have some US people who watch us and join us as well. So we'll start with Canada though. Is it right now, is it a job seekers market in Canada, or does the employer have kind of the upper hand?
Depends on the industry.
Okay,
right.
So let's start with our industry.
Our industry, well, based upon our conversation earlier today with a good friend of ours who is a CPA in a medium-sized firm, they are finding it very challenging to attract new talent and are having to overpay to get them because it is so competitive to attract them. So in our industry, it seems to be, it's a challenge.
So do you think that is because of the shift in the industry, like the disruption with the technology in the industry? Or is it because in a traditional CPA firm, the expectation, is that you have tax season where you're working crazy hours, or that you're articling, before you get your actual CPA designation where you're working crazy hours? And is it, this next wave of accountants and bookkeepers that are coming through with the millennials especially, they're not interested in doing that. They're not interested in working the 70-hour work weeks. They want, the work-life balance, which is, I hate that term, but so is the challenge because of the traditional hamster wheel of being in a CPA firm of what that looks like? Or so for a bookkeeping firm, would they be seeing the same struggles?
Yeah, I mean, well, speak about us personally. I mean, sometimes we are challenged to find good new team members. Other times we're not. And I'm not even sure there's a pattern. I'll go back to the accounting world just for a moment. But I think the accounting world is struggling with a similar thing to what the legal profession is struggling with, and that is I guess what is happening to the whole population, right? The whole population is aging. And so there's a lot of accountants, a lot of lawyers where, over the last number of years, maybe it wasn't so attractive to go into the accounting field or the legal field, say, 10, 20 years ago. And they're now paying the price for that today as the older accountants are retiring. There are less accountants coming along. And so there's still a great need for accountants. I mean, I think there's probably as big a need for bookkeepers and accountants as there's ever been. But if there's less of them coming into it, then, you are going to run into the challenge of, more firms competing to hire fewer people. That's going to drive up what you're going to have to pay for them.
It's similar to the trades.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Linda. I think Linda's at Account Tax.
We're at
Yes.
Account Tax, and Bobby made us do shots, so I have no,
Not
I have no,
responsible.
I'm not responsible for anybody that's here.
Or your
This is, she's the reason. But I have a really cool picture I'm going to show to you guys. I'll share
Sure.
with you the W and whiskey, and I took a picture because I want to share it with you guys. I think it'd be perfect for your wine and whiskey.
We
group.
just made
Perfect.
it
Uh-oh.
feel.
Uh-oh.
Just disregard.
Just trying to add value wherever we can.
I got Monique with me.
Hey, Linda,
Yes.
if you would like to add value to our wine and whiskey, could you perhaps just ship us a case of whiskey?
We did tequila shots. Does that count for wine and whiskey?
Sure, or just ship us a case of whiskey. That would add a tremendous
You
amount
want
of
us to go
value.
have whiskey? He wants us to have whiskey.
Oh yes, that's my next one.
Oh my gosh, she's so bad.
Yeah, we're losing something
You know,
in the translation.
People associate me with Matthew and they think I'm bad, but she's worse.
Don't believe anything she says because she has 2 shots.
That's all I had.
Oh, okay,
Dude,
Dude, I'm very
believe what she said.
okay.
Okay, look at the crowd that's here. We all came here because we had.
That looks like they're having a party without us.
That's what it looks like.
Hi.
Juliet, look what you're missing. Why aren't you here? It's the same time zone.
Same time zone.
Same time zone. No excuse. Where's Tiffany?
Tiffany's not online tonight.
Yeah,
I
we're
haven't
on
seen
one.
Tiffany all week. No. Robbie's actually the bad influence. All right, we're gonna think of you guys in spirit, but we're gonna probably log off.
Okay, no
Where's
worries.
Matthew?
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see everyone. Have a great conference.
See you
We are
later.
gonna have fun at the conference. Stay tuned because I'm gonna try to take some of the conference for you guys. That
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
We miss you guys.
Miss you too. Have fun.
We will. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I think they look like they've already had some.
I was gonna say, it looks like they're way ahead of us in having fun.
Yes, absolutely. So I think I start. I think I need a new computer, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed you blipped out there and then all of a sudden you were back again.
Everything died, everything froze. It booted me out of Zoom, and now I keep getting, your internet connection is unstable, and we're on the same internet. Are you getting that, Steve?
No, but then again, I have a superior computer.
Right. So exactly. So I think I need a new computer.
Well, I hear there are some new Macs available.
Awesome. So my technology will be newer than yours. I'm good with that.
Time to look at it now because all the back to school sales.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's great planning.
Okay. So where were we? We were on, is it a job seekers market in Canada right now? I know in the US it is. It absolutely is in the US.
Yeah.
So in Canada.
Absolutely. I think it is here, depending upon the industry. If it's a specialized industry, like, accounting, bookkeeping, probably engineers, I don't know. But I would imagine it is a employees market.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that obviously plays a factor when you're looking to compensate, because you're competing against numerous other employers. If it's an employer's, heavy market, then you have the upper hand because there's more employees looking for work. But if you're trying to hire someone, then Most people are going to get more than one job offer. So how do they differentiate? So, so the question is, hey, Tamitha, how are you? You should join us online. I know that your team has gotten significantly bigger over the last couple of weeks. This might be a great conversation for you. So when you're looking to compensate, so you got your traditional ones, which are hourly pay, salary. So is there a preference first, if we just talk about base compensation, is there a preference between hourly and salary? Now, in our firm, we pay salary. I don't even know why we opted for that, other than it's easier for me. When we started, it was just, I don't need to think about timesheets and hours, just here, everybody gets the same pay every time.
No, I think it was because as we started to move from hourly billing of our clients, we first moved from hourly to flat fee billing to value pricing. And I think when you go to flat fee billing, having your team on salary makes the model easier to work, right? Because you know what your costs are. So it's easier when you're pricing for clients.
But is that true if your team is all 40 hours a week? You know what the hourly rate is, that you can plan that. You know, whether you're paying them hourly or salary, when they work more than 44 hours, you have to pay them overtime. So that's still as predictable as, you know, so is it really a different model if your employees or your team are full-time? If they're not, then yes, there's a distinction. But if they're all full-time, is there a difference between paying them hourly or salary, other than vacation?
You tell me. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was because it was easier for you.
It was easier for me to process. And now with us being on WagePoint, and we have, you know, auto run, it's even easier. We don't ever look at our payroll. It just, everybody gets paid on the 15th and the last day of the month.
Yep.
So interesting question anyway. So if anyone in the audience has a thought on whether or not hourly or salary makes a difference. Okay, so we have a base compensation.
I mean, just my 2 cents. I don't think it makes any difference at all. I think the important thing is that what you're paying is competitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter how you're determining the wage, as long as the wage they receive is competitive and fair. Doesn't matter.
So how many people, so there's a bunch of different options that are out there for compensation. So you have your base compensation, there's profit sharing, there's benefits, there's, and my mind is drawing a blank here. There is, you know, bonuses, there's referral bonuses if they bring in clients.
Yeah.
So
what about piecework? Does anyone pay on piecework? Right? Where everybody gets, if you're charging this client this amount of money every month, whoever looks after that client gets a piece of that, whether it's, you know, 10%, 30%, whatever, you know, it is.
I know I've seen that model with contractors, with subcontractors, where they're not employees and you're subcontracting out and you've brought in the client, they're your client, but the person's doing the work and they get 40% or whatever it is,
right,
of the revenue, because it's your insurance and everything else that's out there. But I'm a member of a group in the US called the Accounting Salon, and one of the members did a presentation when we met last May, Liz from High Rock in the US. So shout out to Liz if you're watching or if you watch us later. She did an awesome job and shared her employee compensation model, completely radical. She went from traditional hourly salary and switched her entire business model around what you're talking about, Steve, where the employees get a percentage of the revenue. And she had this really intricate graph or pie chart as to who got what piece of this 100% pie of revenue. So she got a percentage of it because it was her firm and running her firm.
Mhm.
But then she had the people who were doing the bookkeeping. She has accountants on staff who do the oversight. So they would get a percentage, and they would get a different percentage depending on the client. And then there was a flat rate for anyone that was doing CFO work on that.
Mhm.
And it was an interesting discussion that took place, because she said that when she introduced it into her firm, she was expecting a lot of pushback. You know, she was expecting that her employees would want to leave. And so what she did was she started out where, here's your revenue base as to what you're earning now.
Mhm.
I will match that for 6 months to bring you up to where you're earning now, until you can take on enough clients and bring you back up to where you are now, just based on the revenue model. And she said that what she's found, and I think she's 2 years into it now, might be a year and a half, 2 years. Everyone in her firm is earning significantly more than they were before. There isn't anybody who's earning less. And she gave some statistics, but I don't remember what they were, that they're significantly more, that there were people who were earning, 40,000 a year who are now making 80,000 a year with her.
Wow.
And so the discussion around in the group was, is money enough to motivate bookkeepers? What about the people that aren't motivated by money? Are you not going to get them in your firm then? And do you win or lose with that? And one dissenting opinion was that bookkeepers aren't motivated by money. That's not what they're looking for. And so aren't going to work any harder or work, the way that you want them to. And then the other dissenting argument was, but then you have predetermined what your profit margin is, because you've taken the 100% of your revenue and you've already said my piece is only 30%. So you've already defined what your profit margin is. And is that what you want? I'm throwing it out there for discussion. Thoughts? Well, okay, so Jacqueline, is that something that you would be open to if you started working for a firm, and they said, okay, you get a percentage of all the work that you do? Would that interest you?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on your mentality, right? I mean, some people are it's like commission salespeople, right? Like some salespeople thrive on commission because they know if they work harder, they put in more time, they put in more effort, the chances are they're going to make more than someone who is on salary. The downside of the commission is there's no guarantee, right? If they don't sell anything, they don't make anything. And that is, for a lot of people, that's a lot of pressure to deal with. And they don't want that. They'd much rather, I want to guarantee, maybe, I could make more doing it this way.
Yeah.
But as long as I come in and I do my job, I know this is what I'm going to get paid. So it really, I think the mentality of the person and how they think, how they're motivated, really determines whether it's going to work or not. And I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, everybody is motivated in different ways. And I also think we're motivated at different points in our life. I mean, when I was younger, I mean, I was much more motivated by money than I am now.
Right.
So, I really do think that it depends where you are in your life and your personality. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, so does it come back to you trying to determine what kind of team you want? What is, when you're looking to choose someone to join your team, and this is your compensation model, are you attracting the type of people that you want to in your team?
But you see, I don't think to be successful, you can always have a model, a compensation model that is identical for everyone. Because what if you have two people, both great people, both great ability, you want both of them, and this one over here, is much more motivated by the flexibility in their work, that I can work, from home, or I can work at the office. And this person over here is motivated by getting a little bit of additional time off.
Yeah.
So there's two people who have completely different motivations, if you will, or motivators. I'm not sure what the word is. That neither of them are wrong, and they should both fit if they're great members of your team, if they add to your culture, if you want them to be members of your team. I think today you're crazy to try to force one model on both of those people.
Interesting. Okay. Hey, Matthew, how are you? So I didn't want to interrupt you while you were backing up and driving.
I was listening in. Sorry to be driving while listening, but I do truly value these chats. So I always want to at least jump in if I can.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate you joining us. So our topic for tonight is employee compensation. That's what we're talking about, is different types of compensation, different structures, what incentivizes people. And you brought up a good point, Steve. So is it all about the money? Is it that, and I think more so again with this younger generation that's coming in, is it flexibility, that they can work from home, or that they can pick and choose what their hours are. If they want to work, 12-hour days for 5 days and then take 2 or 3 days off, or do they want to work, 9-hour days Monday to Thursday and take Fridays off? What does that do to your firm if that's what if everybody in your office has a different compensation model?
Yep.
Is that sustainable?
Doesn't matter. Absolutely it is. All that matters, let me rephrase that. All that should matter is, does that person on your team believe they are being compensated fairly, that they are getting what they need and what they want from the role, and that they enjoy being part of the culture and part of the team? That person over there is getting an extra day off a month than you are, but you are allowed to work from home 5 extra days a month that they're not. So you're saving on gas, you're saving on the convenience, which they don't care about. They wanted that extra day. So as long as it's fair and that they are happy with it, and the employer can, obviously live with the compensation package, I think in order to be successful going forward, you're going to have to give much more consideration to the individual. And again, we talked about how competitive it is, right? How hard it is to attract good people because you're competing for them. So I think you're going to have to be much more flexible in learning what is it that they need, what is it they are looking for, and then try to work something out that works for them.
And do you think that people will understand that, though? When
who are the people?
The people on the team, that if maybe when they start with you and you say, okay, this is what is important to you, so here's how we're going to compensate you to accommodate and make sure that you're getting what's important to you. So you want an extra day off? Perfect. This is what you're going to get.
Yep.
But that someone else is looking for, they want to be able to earn more money, that they have, that's their focus. And they find out that the other person is making more money than them, even though they're doing the same job. do you think that at a, I guess,
Yes.
at a conceptual
Yes.
level, that they're going to understand that, hey, they're both forms of compensation, they're just different forms?
Yeah, if they are adults and they behave like adults, I mean, again, is it not all about transparency, right? That when you're talking to them at the beginning and you are hiring them, maybe in your one-on-one interview process, you say, you know, that we try very hard in our overall compensation package to make it work for you. So you will find people in our organization are not all compensated the same, because everybody doesn't want or need the same things. So we're going to try to find a package that works for you. And if at any time it is no longer working for you, come and talk to us.
Okay.
Again, it's open communication, treating them like an adult, and transparency. Right? You're not trying, like, it's different, I think, if, you know, I'm going to pay you a little more than this person because I like you better, but please don't tell them. I mean, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, then you're breeding an environment, you know, of, well,
Yeah,
an environment I
whole
don't
new
want to.
kettle of fish.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's an environment I don't want to be part of.
Yeah.
No,
You know,
as long as you keep it open and
Yeah.
everybody knows,
Yeah.
then it's good. If you're saying, don't tell so-and-so that you're getting this and don't tell such and such this, then they obviously sooner or later talk, and then it gets very hostile.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so Bianca made a comment that, and I'm assuming this is when we were talking about sharing or taking the revenue and dividing it and locking in how much you as an employer or as a firm are taking. She said she'd be interested as an employee, but she would never lock my profits as an employer. And again, that was one of the topics that came up at the accounting salon, and the discussion, or I guess the response from Liz was something along the lines of, but if, and again, this is driven by her employees making so much more now than they were then. And if they're making more, then obviously she's making more.
Mm-hmm.
That her response was that she's actually making more now than she was before because her employees want to make more.
Mm-hmm.
And that she benefits from them wanting to make more.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's what I've always loved about percentage of profit, right? Because then the more the profit increases, everybody benefits, right? So
I guess it comes back to, oh, and we've got some people. Sorry, I didn't realize there were people sitting there waiting to come in. I was looking till like 8:25 and then I stopped looking. So sorry. Hey, Tiffany and Suzanne. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not sure how long you guys were sitting there.
yeah, hey, don't worry about it, guys. She didn't want to let me in at the beginning, so you know.
But then she would have been the only one.
Yeah, then I was sitting here by myself, so I had to let him in. Even my dog isn't with me in the room today.
It's so nice to feel wanted.
Yes, always, always. Okay, so discussion tonight, I don't know if you guys have been listening or not, is employee compensation options. Whether it's profit sharing, revenue percentage, salary, hourly, we've kind of covered a little bit of everything so far. Okay, so as an employee, we've been talking about it from the employer perspective. Let's go to the employee perspective. What do you think it is that motivates employees? I mean, again, like everyone's is different, but you have to have some kind of option to give them. So we talked about percentage of revenue. So the book of business that they're covering, they get a percentage of it. That may motivate some people. What about benefits? How important is it nowadays? I know in the US it's huge, but in Canada, we have we have a slow healthcare system, but we have a good healthcare system. So how important are benefits to the organization and to the employees in the organization?
I think there's still, because you still got, we don't have our eye appointments, our eyeglasses, drugs, etc. And a lot are looking for that sort of benefits. But
Yeah,
not so much healthcare, because of course, like you said, we've got the healthcare, but more and more is being cut every time we turn around.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about at your end, Matthew? How important, I mean, are benefits an option that's offered in the US by employers, or is it just not affordable?
So living in Southern California, especially, this is probably more of a unique perspective on it. Any employer that has at least 50 employees there are certain requirements that go into play for certain aspects of benefits, if you will, that are they're more strict in California than anywhere else out there.
Okay.
For benefits, I personally feel that yes, they are absolutely a huge bonus, especially because if you do not have health care, you are fined for not having health care. And the difficulty with that is there's nothing affordable. Nothing affordable came out of the Affordable Health Care Act. The only thing that came out of it is a whole bunch of new hospitals all over the place. So to that aspect of it, the only way you can get reasonable health care is if you're working the system or if you're in a group plan. So that's really important. It's hard though for small mom and pop places because, if you've got somebody that's starting their own business and you have a spouse that's maybe getting your health care from the other person. I mean, honestly, Parkway is a perfect example. My business partner, Mike, gets his health care through his wife. Our Mary gets health care through her family. I'm the only one that doesn't have any health care for business-wise. And guess what? There's no group plans for one. So
Right.
it becomes really expensive. So I think that I want to touch base on a little bit of the other stuff because I think it comes back all the way around for employee compensation. I personally feel when you're talking about employee compensation, you need to have the conversation about financial compensation first, because how do you turn or monetize, oh, you can work from home once a week, or, oh, you can take extra time off, everything else. In my perspective, that's the icing on top of the cake. That's part of the culture. It's the environment and wanting to be there. And it's an independent conversation from actual financial compensation, personally.
So you're saying that there should be a base compensation that everybody gets, and then if you want to work from home more, then from the base you don't go up as high, or if you want more vacation from the base you don't go up as high. But if you are interested in making more money, then your base compensation, I guess the increment off the base compensation is higher. Is that what you're saying? Am I interpreting that correctly?
No, not exactly, but maybe it also could be a matter of perspective because, we don't have 15 employees to have to deal with it from that aspect. Because we still have a smaller internal staff, I would pay them their compensation, whatever their compensation is. When it comes to working from home, that's a privilege that is earned. And if they are efficient and effective by working from home, then I am less concerned about whether they're working in our office or from home. I think the other part you were talking about is like the other benefits. That's where if you've got your base compensation plus, then let's evaluate what healthcare is. Let's evaluate what vacation is. In California, you're required to do paid sick time as well. So there are other aspects like that, retirement, that those type of things can be. That's where I would change the base compensation based on the other benefits as well.
Okay. So you view work from home and flexible hours as performance incentives as opposed to financial or compensation.
Yes. Yes, I
Okay.
feel that they are absolutely.
Okay. Any other thoughts from anyone?
Yeah, I don't agree.
Okay. Why don't you agree?
We're just going to agree to disagree.
Okay, but why don't you agree?
Because I think, again, it comes down to we have to get away from the mindset that we've been using for years about how we compensate employees. You know, I mean, all we talk about, right, is all of the radical changes that are happening. And yet we're still trying to compensate the same way, even though we have all these other changes. And I really think that it, particularly if we're in an environment where we're having to compete with other firms to find and hire good people, we're going to have to become a little more flexible and open-minded when it comes to a compensation package. And absolutely, money is going to be an important part of it. It is for everybody. But I think the important thing is to sit down with the prospective employee before you've hired them and find out what is important to them. You know, I mean, is it extra time off? Is it, you know, the kind of work environment or culture you have? Is it opportunity for advancement? Is it working from home? Do you pay for professional development? Like, what lights their fire? What are the, because it'll be different for pretty well everybody, right? Like, some could care less about the professional development and the fact that you might pay for some of that because they have no interest in it, right? But for somebody else, that might be a big deal. So I think your compensation should be, and I know this is a little counterintuitive to the way we've done it. It's just, I believe that's the way it's going to remain competitive. You've got to fine tune your compensation package to the needs of each individual.
Okay, so Bianca asked a question in the chat. Why do some employers think that working from home equals less pay?
Thank you. Thank you. That was going to be the point I was going to ask.
I never said it did.
Actually, it's more pay. Like, minimum wage for employees that work from home is higher than minimum wage for employees that work in an office. It's higher.
Yeah, no
Is it
travel
really?
expenses. Well, you don't have to pay to travel. There's a whole bunch of things.
Because you're expecting your employee to pay for their own hydro and their own whatever. So in order to compensate that for that, the minimum wage for employees that work from their home is actually a little bit higher than it is if they work in an office, because they are supplying you with they're supplying with the hydro and the workspace and whatever. So it's a way of basically compensating. So it's
but even though they get, well, in Canada anyways, they get the T2200 that lets them write off portions of all of that, which is a benefit to them.
Yeah, it's still higher.
I didn't know that. Okay.
It's not like massively higher, but it's higher.
I didn't even know it was different.
I learned that, and then I'm like, hey guys, guess what? You know, to this one new girl that I hired, you get a pay raise, and they're like, thanks. I'm like, you're welcome, because I just read it. But it was because
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's higher because.
Suzanne, are you kind of akinning that to home worker wages?
No, I thought it was like the wages from people that work from home.
Where is that? I've never seen that on the Ministry of Labor.
I don't know. I'll look for it. It's been like 2 years since I've looked at it, but it was.
There's home worker wages, which are generally higher, but those are not people working from home.
Oh, I thought there was home.
That's a different category.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll reread it again.
We're lucky them.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can take
it's
her
okay
raise.
to bypass that stage anyway a few years ago, but it was why I gave them a little bit of a bonus. But
okay,
and that's okay.
You might have
don't pay minimum wage anyway, so
it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like it was, and now everyone's higher than that anyway. But
yeah, I never pay minimum wage.
No, I started that because when I started, it wasn't, and then I got higher as the company grew. They grew with me. So
absolutely. Okay, so anything else in terms of, we've talked about some of the different forms of compensation. What about profit sharing? We kind of mentioned profit sharing. How does everybody feel about profit sharing?
To go back to your other point about working from home, I think my staff's a bit different because we all do it, and the only people I hire are people that were willing to work from home. Yeah. So I think for me, it's like for my staff, when we hire, it's almost it's not a benefit, it's a term, you know what I mean? Like it is what we do. So the people that appeals to I give them full permission and encouragement, and they literally put their family before their work, and we talk about that, and it appeals to we have a very specific culture around that, and that's the kind of people, and you would think that then therefore intuitively they wouldn't. It's kind of just like Steve said, it kind of goes against what you kind of think will happen, because then all of a sudden now they do push for us, and I think they work really hard, and I think they always give it their best. But a lot of that, I think, is because they know it's rare to find a job that says, yeah, go ahead, work from home. Oh, you want to do this for your kid or whatever, you want to go to school. Like it's very much like that. And that is our culture. So they ask about those things way before they ask about what their pay is. So for me, it's not. And then what happens too is as I get to know them, I do have a couple of people that couldn't care less about professional development, but I have one girl that just like drinks it like it's water. Like she just loves this stuff. So, but I wouldn't know that until we started working, until I was 6 months in. So I don't put that in a compensation package, because you build that towards you. That's just finding out what your team is good at, and then saying, hey, you're good at this. Do you want this opportunity or not? And kind of working that way. So I don't put it in up front, because some appeals to, some it doesn't. We kind of just make it like everything. We kind of make it up as we go, and as they get better and as we figure out what they need, we kind of then reward, I guess, but I don't know if it's reward, more like encourage growth where they can grow. Whereas other people love more flexibility, so we reduce the amount of clients so they don't have to work quite as much. Other people want some more hours, their life changes, so we increase the number of clients they have so they work a little bit more. So I find we make it a little bit more unique depending on the person, and we don't know that and they don't know that either until they start working more. So we might probably do things backwards here, but it works.
I don't think it's frontwards or backwards, Suzanne. Yeah. Everything is different.
Right. Has anybody heard of a website called hiremymom.com? Yeah. Oh, it was interesting. I was, over the last few months, I've been revamping our Kninja hiring system. And one of the things I was doing was looking for new websites where people could promote, their help wanted. I'm looking for new employees. And I came across this website, and it's actually a business, unfortunately, only available in the US at this time, but they are talking about coming to Canada. Been around about 10 years. And what it is a website that is designed to connect small business looking for, I guess, affordable quality talent and connecting them with stay-at-home mom professionals. So stay-at-home moms who have determined that they want to stay at home, raise their family, but don't want to completely give up on a career, right? So they'd still like a job, but more on their terms, right? So there's that work at home flexibility, right? Well, here's a website that has built a 10-year business around connecting those people and small business. And I thought that was a very, very, like, I'd never heard of that concept before. But when I came across it, it made perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, and we had the conversation in our office probably a couple of weeks ago about, what is your ideal workplace look like for you? So right now we have a work from home policy that people get to work from home a certain number of days, depending on seniority, in a month. We have some team members who are 100% remote. And so we wanted to make sure that the people who were coming into the office weren't feeling like the people that are 100% remote had some kind of benefit that the ones that are coming to the office don't. And it was interesting as to, how many of the people on our team said that, you know, they love the work from home. Yes, they would love it to be more, but that they're just thankful that they have work from home options because they've never been in a place where they were able to work from home before.
Right.
So, you know, does it come back to, you know, what Steve said of identifying what's important to them? But if, you know, you're talking to somebody and they've never worked from home before, are they going to be able to put any importance on it because they've never done it? So they've never experienced it. They don't know what it feels like to be able to do that. So, you know, that's a question as well, is how can someone say, no, this doesn't matter to me, or it does matter to me if they've never done it before, experienced it before?
I actually have one bookkeeper who still is primarily goes to clients because she's not good at working from home. She prefers going to clients because she finds it's easier to focus and she enjoys the work better. I just the one, everyone else doesn't, but she's the only one that is set up like that. So yeah, she thought she would love it and she didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't take to it at all.
Well, and that's me. I mean, I hate working from home.
Yeah.
I need to have an office to go to.
Yeah.
And that's another great example, right, for customizing your compensation package for each individual. Because for each person, what is important to them is different.
What's interesting with that, though, is so if they're working from home, do you provide them a computer so they're doing the work on your device and you own it then? Or are they working on their own computer and who owns who's responsible for the information that's on it, even if they're working on your client stuff?
Yeah, that's totally been, that is our next thing, is that it was always little bits of subcontracting work and then they became employees. So most people were hired when they were subcontractors. So they had to have their own stuff and their own whatever. And then I moved them to employees. So that's not been an issue, but now I'm hiring more from before that. So now that's what we're figuring out now. So eventually the goal will be to, it'll be my computer, like our device, our stuff. Right now we have some security things that we try to do, but it has to be moved to our computers. That's our next thing.
That's the scary part, is because of all the cyber attacks, everything else, is that's kind of why I bring that up, right? If you have one of your employees working from home on their computer, which they do not adequately maintain, and there's a cyber attack at that point, your firm could still be completely liable. Will be liable.
Yeah, and that's our next progression, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Matthew.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Bianca is pushing back on you, Steve.
Good.
Working from home shouldn't be part of the compensation package, though. That's a term of employment.
Agreed.
Yeah, not in my mind.
So I want to stress the fact that the way that you talk about it, Steve, I actually support about 99% of it, because I do understand.
Come on, Matthew. Matthew, if you're at 99, come to 100. Come on.
I'm thinking about changing to the dark side, but I guess for me, what the fundamental difference is when we're talking about it and we use the word compensation, what I don't want it to be is, I would not consider reducing someone's pay, as it was said earlier, because they have the right to work from home. And I do agree with the concept of, let's find out what's the best work environment for the person, combine it together. But I guess I have a hard time.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but can I just reiterate my position here? At no point did I say you pay them less because they're working at home. I have not said that one time. I am not indicating that at all. I am talking about an overall package for everyone. And I
guess it's lost in translation, eh?
I'm not saying that if they decide they want to work more from home, I'm going to pay them less. It's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
The clarification is good, because I think it is a little bit of a lost in translation kind of concept. But to change subject a little bit, one of the things, like for me, have you guys found a way to help people be more successful at working from home? For Parkway, when I first started, we both had our own home offices, and it was quite a transition for me to get used to having to work from my house. And then we get an office. The office is more of like a marketing expense, if you ask me. We use it so we can meet with people, everything else, but we don't need it. But that was a transition back to going to an office again.
Yeah.
And now I can do both, but it takes a certain mindset to do either or. Yeah. So any tips for success?
That might be a session all by itself, is what makes you productive at home. Because we've only got about 2 minutes left. So I've written that down as another topic to talk about how to make your team productive at home when they work from home. So we got 2 minutes left. Profit sharing.
Hang on. Does anybody have a tip for Matthew? Poor guy asked the question and nobody gave it.
I cut him off, sorry.
I
pushed him to a whole segment all on his own.
Yeah, the whole session next week is about Matthew. Okay.
Yes, all of next week we'll answer Matthew's questions. Okay, so profit sharing. How do people feel about profit sharing? Or even equity? Does anyone give equity to their team?
I love the idea, but I don't do it.
Sorry, I missed that, Suzanne.
I said I love the idea. I love the idea of profit sharing, equity sharing, but I don't do it.
Yeah, profit sharing and equity sharing, two completely different things in my mind. Equity sharing is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. Thank you.
More of a profit sharing type of, like, that's the bent I keep on looking at. I just haven't figured out the logistics, or it's a step and I haven't figured out how to make it yet.
Okay, so I'm going to take the last minute and just talk about ours. So we introduced profit sharing at AIS. We introduced it originally in 2018 with what I thought, and again, what I thought, not what anybody else thought, what I thought was this amazing profit sharing plan that gave everyone so much upswing. But of course, for it to be that complicated, it needed a spreadsheet and it had Kninja belts, you know, when you were at this belt and you were at this belt, and here's what the percentage. So I think I had 8 levels, and depending, you earned points.
Not like you at all.
No, it wasn't complicated. I thought it was an amazing, because I thought it was an amazing plan. So again, it's the perception between business owner versus someone working on a team. And so I had thought it was this great plan because the bonus would be paid out, the profit sharing, it was a bonus plan, would be paid out on a quarterly basis.
Yeah, it was a bonus based on profit.
Sorry?
It was a bonus based on profit.
Right, yes.
Right.
And all the way throughout the quarter, because of this point system that was really easy for everyone to track, you would know what your bonus or profit sharing piece was going to be at that quarter. And so I presented this because I was so excited about it. And I did this big presentation to my team as to look at all this potential upswing for all of you guys. They all hated it. It stressed them out completely because they had no idea what the bonus was going to be. They wanted to know what it was going to be. And so after all these lovely spreadsheets and presentations and stuff that I created and all the calculations I did, it all went out the window because it didn't resonate with anybody other than one other team member and myself. That was it.
Yeah, but it helped you with your Excel skills, right?
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. Yeah, that I got something out of this. But I guess, Suzanne, my point was just make sure that you keep it simple. Because now ours is really simple.
And ask ahead of time, would you be motivated with a profit sharing opportunity?
Yeah. Well, no, and everyone was motivated by the profit sharing opportunity. They just weren't motivated by how I had created the opportunity. And what it was something that I found really interesting, that even though I said, so I thought that maybe they didn't understand my model. So I actually gave them an example. Okay, here's what, take a random person, this is what they're making now. if they were to be at this Kninja belt, this would be their bonus. If they were at this Kninja belt, this would be their bonus. And if they're at this one, what the upswing was. Versus flat rate, here's what you're capped at. And it was considerably lower than if they went through the different Kninja belts and they still wanted the flat rate.
As you can tell, Juliet doesn't feel bad about this at all. She has had no trouble letting it go.
No, even though it was like a year and a half ago. Okay. All right. 9:03. We've gone a little bit late as I did my rant about my profit sharing. It was cool. I'm happy to share my Kninja belts with anybody. It's a lovely looking sheet if anybody wants to see it. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. I thought it was a great conversation.
Yep. Thank you.
Again, I apologize for keeping you all over time. Have a fabulous week, everyone. Cheers, and we'll see you all next Wednesday.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.